Hello, everyone. Hello, Antonio. How are you, my friend?
Hello, Hello, Ricardo. Hello, everyone.
Yeah, it's wonderful to be with you. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I need to say we just delayed a little bit the beginning because we had a really a big interest on the workshop, and due to the limitations of the platform and everything, so we just decided something like 10 minutes ago to broadcast this. So it's on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Facebook, and even on Twitch. So in all these platforms, you can watch this discussion live. And we are very happy. Antonio, thank you very much for the partnership on the article. So what do we aim here is to discuss a little bit more about the article we recently published on HBR, and try to envision a little bit more how the future will look like. And please feel free to use the Q&A to talk. For some technical glitch here, the chat is not available for the attendees. We tried to sort out, but we were unable to do that. So you can use your Q&A also to introduce yourself, and just to say, at least we can see where you come from, and we can use this to refer to all of you. So I want now to start sharing our slide deck, and this slide deck will be available to all of you at the end. I will share with you the QR code so you can take a look and download it. Okay, so the main reason for this is the article we recently published, and this article try to address some of the trends that we see are coming, and are coming really fast, and are coming in, I don't want to say in a scary way, but are coming to surprise us and to change a lot how do we see things. And this is exactly what we want. Will it be virtual assistants? Will it be the support of our project planning? Or AI will manage projects? And these are questions that we really want to discuss with you today. And I just want to introduce, I don't want to spend too much time. You know, I'm passionate about project management. All my career is about project management on different sectors. I had the chance to be the director for infrastructure and project management at the United Nations. I had the chance to write 16 books in the field. I have a quite popular podcast for those who listen to my voice for a lot of time. And my main work is supporting organizations in capital projects. And also I do some works you'll see later on venture capital, mainly on this technology space. So I want now to turn into my dear friend Antonio so he can introduce himself and start the talk.
Thank you, Ricardo, and thank you everyone for joining. It's I just love to be always with Ricardo, and we always have great conversations. So we thought, why not writing an article for HBR? Why don't we create something for the community? So today's a major step for, I hope, for our partnership, Ricardo, and I'm really glad to have so many friends on the call. I see David Garrett and we have so many friends. Thank you for joining. I think one thing that is important in this space, especially in project management, is a lot of co-creation. Some people can come with an idea, but if we don't work all together towards making these changes happen, it will never happen. So I think Ricardo, me, we propose always new things and new ideas, but it's the power of the community, PMI and beyond, that makes these things happening. I think one thing that I just will go not into my career, I think many of you know, but I think what I've noticed, and Ricardo, you know that too, is that finally people at the top of organizations are recognizing the power of projects, the importance of project management. for dealing with this world driven by change, the project economy. So it's just great to be in this space. I think we have worked hard to get there. Many people who are in the call, many people who are not in the call, but it's just great when you get calls from CEO and they tell you, listen, we have a problem here. We have too many projects, or we cannot deal with these transformations. We need help. We need to build project management competencies, agile competencies. So I think I just wanted to acknowledge that and recognize that for the community who's here in this call, and we're all working together. So, and today a topic which we're both very passionate, which is the artificial intelligence, of course. And somehow I think, Ricardo, you mentioned that it's not a topic that we really have addressed in the project management world. I was chairman of PMI in 2016. I was very interested on bridging the gap with strategy. We launched Brightline, but artificial intelligence was never really discussed. And I think it's just coming, but very slowly, not in other industries like healthcare, construction, cars, where AI is so present. In project management, we have not been very active talking about that. And I think this is time to accelerate that and make it something positive, something where we can bring this change to the table. We can say, listen, a machine can do part of our work. We can do much more in other spaces. So if you go to the next slide, Ricardo, this is something that annoys me a lot as somebody that speaks around the value of project management. When you see the really appalling performance rates of projects, and again, I think we all agree that it's hard to measure success. There's no standard way to look at success. I always talk about the triple constraint benefits or success, and then the benefit success. So there's two types of successes, but still any research that we find through PMI, Brightline, McKinsey, professor from Oxford recently with his big book, Big Ideas. Also, the numbers are really bad. It's like 95% of the projects are delivered on delays. So I think we need to step up. This is another area where Ricardo and I talk a lot, is how can we ensure that just 20% of the projects fail, but not 80. So I think that's where it's a big issue for me in this profession, that we need to find, if we are credible now in the senior leader space, but we need to be more by delivering more value and faster. So I think this is a bit setting the scene of AI. Is also AI can help to do that. AI can help us. We should see AI as a mechanism for us to make better projects, to deliver them better, more successfully. I think there's one more slide before we move. Yeah, so I think if you look, I've been doing project management forever, like most of you, and it's right. You look at the operational side of any business and you see ERPs, and you see a lot of data warehousing, and you see reporting on the spot, and I get very jealous why operations is so good and they have one source of truth, and why in project management world is such a mess. You can have Excel's, PowerPoints on PPM systems. They help a bit into that space, but it's never really mature. So I think the maturity in technology in the space of project management is still very, very low. And the next slide. So this is a bit setting the scene. And my vision, which I think Ricardo shares as well, is that if we put ourselves a target of let's double, let's make sure that we improve our success rate by 25%. This is immediate impact. This is immediate benefit. It's not that we need to invest more. We just need to do them better. And you have impact in terms of financial, but also in terms of impact, sustainability, diversity. So I think this is something like we need to stick in our targets for the next 2-3 years to do that. And then I think we can really be very, very successful in this space. And I think we have a small pool here. So we wanted to make this as interactive as possible. We'll share a few slides, but then we'll have polls. So you can see here the first one, you should have pop up in your screen. So what percentage of the current project management / PMO practice will be disrupted by AI, will be kind of taken over, will be done in the next years? 20%, 40%, 60%, 80%, 100%. 100% would be nice, right? We don't need to do. I always talk about self-driving cars, but self-driving projects. Why not? Then we can.
Antonio,
Okay.
I'm just waiting here. We have already hundreds of answers, but it's moving very fast. So if you wait 10 more seconds before I close the pool, okay? I can see the results. You cannot yet, but
I cannot.
Yeah, but it's fun. You'll see it's fun. It's fun. Okay, I'm closing, okay? I'm closing the pool now. It's closed. Okay, and now I will share the results. Ball to you, Antonio.
Okay, I think I'm glad to see that. I think there's interesting. There's people who think about 20% only, and a few 7%, 23, and we have already 400 people in the call. 100%. I'm curious to hear that, but the majority is in between. So 60%, which is quite a lot. Imagine half of our week will be done and automated through machine learning, artificial intelligence. That's a lot. One of the biggest reference, and I'm closing down here, just my last slide before moving to Ricardo, is Garner. So Garner was the first one that brought this into the scene. I know PMI has been looking into that as well, and this is already 3 years old, but Garner said at that time, 80% of your day, 80% of 4 days, 4 days of 5 could be done by machines. So that's scary. That is saying, okay, what I'm going to do, I can keep myself busy for a day, but what I'm going to be doing. So I think that's what make a lot of noise, this announcement by Garner. I think there is some truth in this number because we do still a lot of manual work, administrative work, controlling work that machine learning can easily do. But I think we need to see this as an opportunity. Imagine you get rid of all this boring work and you have just the nice part, the stakeholder management. So the next section, I'm passing back to Ricardo, is based on the article, where are the areas that we've seen? This is not just prediction. We have seen changes happening, and there's some more or less. But back to you, Ricardo.
Okay, thank you, Antonio. And it's interesting. I just want before, we have people from everywhere. You cannot see, but from California to Bangladesh, from Brazil, Canada, everywhere. So thank you very much for joining us. We already have series of questions here that we are planning to address. But what I want is to try to share with you 6 aspects of the project management that we truly believe will be disrupted in the upcoming years. So let me go through each of them, from better selection and prioritization of projects, to the support of the project management office, to speed up on the planning process, project definitions, virtual project assistants, advancing testing systems, and finally, and probably the most disruptive one, it's how will be our role as a project managers in this environment. So the first one, it's the use of artificial intelligence to help you to select and prioritize. So imagine one thing. If we want to understand what AI is about, AI is just a process that takes a huge amount of data and through some algorithms try to make sense and try to create patterns that could indicate to us a trend or an approach. So what happens? You can put your candidate projects in an AI system, and they can predict success in terms of budget fulfillment, in terms of results, in terms of resource utilization, and give you back the suggested mix of projects to help in your strategy. So you can use tools combining like AHP, modeling, simulation, big data, and all of these to help you to do this heavy lift. I want just to tell you one thing. In 2015, I published an article about the use of neural networks on the project selection and prioritization. This was 8 years ago. This was published at the PMI Congress. And at that time, I used Excel and I used a tool called Palisade at Risk to help me to simulate what would be the best set of projects. And we use neural networks. And neural networks is a subset of what AI comes. And what is the difference between 2015 and now? That because today it's widely available. Today you have much more chance to get the information you need and to use this analytical aspect coming from these AI tools that will help you to select much faster and in a much reliable way. One example I want to say, I published yesterday my newsletter, and one of the aspects of the newsletter was this case, Highview. And Highview is a platform. It's an existing and leading platform for recruitment. And do you know what surprised me? Highview is all artificial intelligence based. It means all the screening of candidates, even the interviews. You are not interviewed by a human being on the other side. It's not someone interviewing you. It's a machine that interviews you. And look what is incredible. This machine could perceive if you are a good fit or a bad fit. However, on the top of that comes a massive challenge, because I always say this, AI has as much bias as any human being that is feeding AI with information. So Highview had to stop, I think 1 year and a half ago, the facial analysis of candidates, because they discover that it had bias. The way you smile, the way you position, the way you shake your hands could be good or not so good. And this is full of bias against different candidates. And this is a true case. You can see this on Wired magazine and this. So this is a use of selecting candidates, for example, in the project environment. The second one, this is obvious, support project management office. One thing that I always tell people is that I don't believe at all that is our role as a PMO or as a project managers to just produce paperwork, from templates to reports and everything. So AI can support that. I have a very big question that I want to ask you, because I don't have the answer, is that will we need reports in the future? Do we need them? Because why do we do a report? We do a report because we expect that people will read and make decisions. But imagine if I have an oracle, let's suppose like ChatGPT that everybody, and you as a boss, you can just go on ChatGPT and say, is this project on budget? And ChatGPT will not only look externally, but will look all your pool. And this is exactly where the big business on AI is for software companies. Microsoft just released it, that the connection between ChatGPT and Bing is not just a coincidence or market share, because what will happen is that you will have artificial intelligence servers in your company doing and connecting external information with your own proprietary information to use as competitive advantage. And all this support on compliance and everything will be done by the project management office. And the project management office can set triggers that will create a red light or a trigger or an exception if something happens, or if there is a trend that something will happen based on AI. The next one is improved faster project definition, planning, and reporting. It's a pre-populated project. For example, you give ideas to AI, and AI will pre-populate the tasks you should do, the relationships you may use, the risks you may face, the type of resources. It's I just want to do an analogy. Imagine you with your Trello board and your Trello board is auto-populated, or you with your Microsoft project and your Microsoft project is completely auto-populated with that. And I had this experience because I was one of the founders and of the venture PMBOK. And PMBOK was created and supported by Microsoft, and it's a chatbot that does exactly that using AI. You have a chatbot like ChatGPT, and you say, I need a project. And then you start talking, and then a PMBOK asks you, why is this project about? When do you want to start? Which kind of objectives do you want? What is this? And then PMBOK will populate the project for you with all information and check some of your assumptions. So this is just one example of how you can do this and use this, connecting this third topic with the fourth as like an assistant, as someone. Imagine you having someone in your back with the full knowledge of your project and full knowledge of project management, helping you, being an advisor and an assistant to you. So this is an example. And the example of the PMBOK is machine learning enable doing this all the time. And it learns with time. So if you fix and correct, the next time the same mistake will not happen again. And so it's a learning algorithm that will learn over and over. So if you use it more, it will get better and better. Number 5, advanced testing system and software. And this is one of the areas I'm talking more for those working in project management in the IT sector. This will be a big thing, because you will be able to use AI to test your system, to test your software before you release it. And this is one of the key areas. Just for you to have an idea, ChatGPT, that is now mainstream, is one of the best software developers you may find. Because if you write, send an idea and ask for a Python code, there is a good chance that you will receive a decent code. I'm not saying a perfect, but a decent code for you to use. So all of these, it will reduce dramatically, and it will improve dramatically too the concept of what we are talking inside PMI of the citizen developer process. It's where I would say the development of technology and software will become far more user-friendly, and people will be able to build software, to build solutions like piling up Lego bricks. And this is, I would say, one of the biggest trends and one of the trends with the biggest impact. And last but not least, it's a new role for us. And I'm talking here on behalf of Antonio and myself, because, you know, we are on this field for quite a long time. And you know, I remember when I did my PMP in 1999, it was about the budget time and this, you know, you don't care too much about what was the outcome of the project. And this shifted completely today on the position of the project manager. So it's the key. Project managers, they need to embrace this change. And I know sometimes it's scary, because it is. When I used ChatGPT for the first time, I said, what is that? But it's a different. We need now to understand that there is still a lot of things that machines are not able to do. Many of the soft skills, leadership, some of the strategic thinking, some of the feelings. This is all about project manager. Project manager is not about preparing a report and sending complaints up and down and being the messenger. It's far more than that. And the project manager, if you're listening to what I'm saying, the project manager that will make disruptive difference in the future are those who use this technology as strong allies to move forward. So combining this soft human approach, human skills with a very solid technology supporting. And this will make a massive difference for all of us. This is why, for example, Antonio and I, we use a lot of time writing this, because we need to plant this seed on every single brain of every single project manager to think that AI is here to stay, and we need to embrace that in order to really move our profession to the next level. And I have a second question. Among these items, what do you think are the ones you believe that will be mostly disrupted? So I will put the second pool here, and I wonder to see what do you think of that? Okay, what do you think of that? So let me go on the second. So I would love that you share with us your perceptions on that very quickly. So do we see that it will be for better selection and prioritization? Do you believe that it will be support on the project management office, or it's improved planning capability, or if it's virtual, or software testing, or even other things? So I want just to listen to you. So just quickly, and it's very important that you share this. Antonio, one thing that I just a technical thing, we need just to read the answers, because for those on LinkedIn and YouTube, they cannot see the results of the pool. So just for you to do. So I will read the results. So I will give more 10 seconds. And look, it's not an easy answer, okay? But if you had to guess one, what would be? Okay. So let me. Okay. So I will end now. Okay. I will end now. Oh, there's still people voting. I'm planning to end, and then a lot of votes come popping up. So let me. Okay. Now I will end the poll. Okay, and I'll share. So the results: better selection and prioritization, 14%. Support project management office, 14%. Improved faster project definition, planning, and reporting, 34%, and the winner. Virtual project assistance, 19%. Advanced testing system and software, 17%, and other 2%. So the leading is improving. I think I need to agree with you on my perception. It's these will be, I would say, materialized very fast. I feel that these will happen very fast for most of the companies. And when I say very fast, we should expect this year to have a lot of solutions on helping these project definition, planning, and reporting. The one thing that was a little bit of surprise for me is the advanced testing and system. I was expecting a higher number, but 70% is still a lot of people. So look, it will be great when we do this again, Antonio, in 2 years from now, and then we just check the reality of what happened. Okay. Antonio, back to you on data and people to make a future a reality.
Thank you, Ricardo. And I just wanted briefly to touch upon a couple of points that Ricardo mentioned. I've done quite some research on all these domains and seen some startups working on that. I'm actually developing a machine learning with a professor in Canada, Paul Bordelais, who's one of the leading experts in AI in this, and we're working on a prioritization selection application. It has 90 criteria, so I'm gathering data for 50 projects, and so I hope that also I'll come back to that. So that is ongoing, and I hope in a couple of weeks we'll be able to test it. I've seen a software that you can press a button and has thousands of WBS and can create a good plan in 5 minutes instead of 20 weeks because of all the big data and data knowledge they've gathered. I've seen another software that is used by President Macron in France for watching all the projects, public spending projects in front. There's thousands, and he can see in a second which projects are late or not. So on the risk side as well. So my thinking, and we still need to discuss that, Ricardo, but we could have another session like this one and deep dive in and bring in these technologies to you so that we can also learn from that. So that's an ongoing learning process. Is not just one-off AI session. For me, just to finish, when they ask me, how do you see technology in project management over the years in the future? I always refer to maps. When you're driving a car with the maps, you know, we had three big phases. One was the paper maps, the Michelin maps that were huge, and it was fun to ride, but it was not very efficient. Then we had the GPS, which is much easier, and still you can play a role, but if you don't want, then you just go. And then you start seeing the self-driving cars. So if you project that and you reflect on projects, my view is that in projects, we're still with the maps, right? And it's not very efficient. We don't have yet the GPS, and we're far off of the self-driving projects, but we should be thinking like that could be the goal. Self-driving projects, and what do we do there to add value? Which I think there's a lot. So I'm not just saying we don't need this role. I think we need it, and more than before. But I think maybe that analogy helps. We're still very early. We're still with the paper maps. And here, just briefly, on the data is one of the biggest challenges. Ricardo, if you can go to the next slide. So you do need data. And if you want to go serious on this, the research we've made is around 80% of the time, at least in the first phase, is about data cleansing, data preparation. I've done that for 50 big projects that I'm doing for this machine learning prioritization algorithms, and it's painful. It's not easy for getting data of 90 criteria from Sydney Opera House, Empire State Building, and but I think in the end, once you have that phase, what I've seen is that machine learning also learns to fill in the gaps. So you don't need to have everything for everything. Now these algorithms are super smart, and they will predict data. They will create data based on a good foundation. So I think that makes our job easier. And the next slide, I think it just talks a bit about questions that we put in the paper of a Harvard Business Review about what you need to consider. Do you want to embrace AI seriously? I think you can read this in the slides, but it's an investment. It's a project. I think we are convinced that this is in the midterm something that we will see everywhere, but at the moment it's just pioneer companies that are investing in this. I'm not going to go through all this. You can read the slides, you can read the paper. Next slide, please, Ricardo. Next slide. Yeah, and just to finish before Q&A. So one of the ideas that Ricardo and I have is that we've done a lot. We've done a lot of trainings. We've trained for big corporates. We've done a lot of business school teaching, executive education. So brainstorming, and for me, it's always a passion. And I know Ricardo shares the same passion of sharing and building better project managers and making everyone more confident and more equipped. And I think there is always the level of the training is not always the highest. And Ricardo and I thought that we could develop a masterclass, like the best masterclass in project management ever, bringing our thinking, but not only our thinking, but some of our contacts that we know in this space and outside this space, to have like a day or 2.5 days. We still don't know the format, but I think and partner with a business school so that we get an accreditation so that you can claim that to your business and organization. But it's just a very big ambition that we have, and making this the best of the best training masterclass. Maybe we can involve Harvard Business Review. So I don't know. We just want to create something unique, talking about this, and that leads to also creating a community of high-level experienced people. So it's something that is in our minds, and we wanted to guess. There's a small poll here to get a bit of feedback, whether this would make sense to any of you, and we'll come back with more details, but we don't want to wait too much time. We want to do it this summer and have the first forward, but I think it's part of the sharing that we need to leave behind, Ricardo and myself. And it's just something that I'm very, very excited.
Yeah, what we want, I will just stop sharing. What I want, look, these idea came after some ideas and some discussions between Antonio and myself, and we would love, just wondering, to hear from you. What is your take? So we are asking 3 questions here about, is this something interesting or not at all? About the duration, about the investment, just to have a feeling. We don't have yet an answer for that. So this is why we would love to hear from you, because you have this interest. So what do you think about that? The answers are anonymous. So if you can just help us to figure out these aspects, if this should be something of 1 day, half a day, 2 days, or if you want something different, or it's something that you don't have interest. It's just for us to feel, and then we'll go look, Antonio, just for your awareness, we have 60 exact questions, okay, to be answered. So we'll have to be very fast trying to answer them, And if you have questions in the audience, please just type your answer. We'll try to answer all of them, okay? I don't know, but we'll do our best here to quickly.
Sorry to interrupt. What I do usually when there's too many questions is, what we do is we'll make a video, you and me, answering the questions.
Yes.
And then we'll share it with all of them. Because
we can do that. We can do that. What I want is just to respect here some of the questions we received. So just some of them are super interesting. So we can discuss them here on this Q&A before we come to an end. So look, I will just finish the pool. So thank you very much for your contributions on that. Now, Antonio, time for questions. So I will put here. So the first one from Najib, is using AI in project management implies delegating machines all the work that is related to the way of working in the PMI competence triangle. So are we giving up to machines the control of that? So you can take that, or I can.
Okay, no, I don't think so. You give a great question. I just went through like at 20 and they're amazing. And I see Alfonso Bucero, and it's nice.
Yeah,
it's just really great question. I don't think so. It's like you're driving a car. Do you give the control to the car? Well, there's some parts, the engine, you're not going to be running the engine, but at the end, you're still accountable. You're still responsible. You're still the one that is going to make the most important decisions, but you're not the one running the machine. So partly, yes, we're going to give some of these heavy duty tasks to AI, but not the accountability, not the direction, not the decisions. So we still play a major role, Nadib. So great question. I think
and AI is improving, Antonio, but it's not perfect at all. No. I use ChatGPT to do for me a critical path analysis, and it did wrong. And it was a simple one. So you need to have supervision. Maybe in the future things will improve, but I agree completely with you. At the end, you are accountable for that. Okay, you use the machine to accelerate your thoughts. Alfonso, wonderful to see you. I see so many friends here. Most of the young project managers, they believe AI will constrain their project management career. And he said, I explained it, that is not true at all, but I would love to hear your opinion. I can take this one. Alfonso, look, if you are young and you are afraid of AI, you have a big problem, because if you are at the end of your career and you are afraid of AI, I would say, oh, okay, I can understand. But if you are at the beginning, oh my God, because we don't know what will happen in 20 years. So I truly believe that AI is a game changer. I love Richard Daveni, a book about the new industrial revolution, because this is the same thing that when I would say people in the factories before the industrial revolution thought that, oh, I will lose my job. No, it's just changing. It's just changing. It's just changing, and it's already changing. For example, as I said, 20 years ago, project managers were expected to deliver on time, on budget. You know, if the product is irrelevant or useless, it's not your problem. You receive from a sponsor a request and you just deliver that. These used to be what the role of the project manager. And look now. So I think AI is a key ally. For example, I use, Antonio the same gave some examples. So don't be, because if you see AI as your enemy, then you have two problems. You have your problem with perception of AI and AI itself. So don't do that. Okay, it's not smart. Look, do you? Oh, Dave Garrett, do you think AI will have an impact on agile approach, the human parts of Scrum and beyond? If so, what might it be?
I love that, David, and thank you, Dave, for being here. And for what you're doing with PMI. I think that's a great question, because we always see in Agile AI coming into the traditional predictive project management. It's also going to be Agile, and all these DevOps and I think the initial phase. So I think, yes, absolutely, there's going to be an impact in Agile, and it's something that we've not covered very much. So I think that it's something that we need to go a bit deeper, but definitely I think there is a big opportunity for doing a lot of the Scrum work and all the, in the end, Agile is very much related to tech development, right? So I'm sure there will be a very soon that can do all this DevOps part without any human intervention. So the Agile maybe move towards a bit further down the line, and I think we started embracing Agile in other parts of project management and bigger projects, while the traditional Agile gets done by machines. So I love the question, Dave. I think we need to explore further.
I want to add, Dave, a true example of that, okay, on this. I am on the board advisor of Yera. It's an Estonian venture that connects AI with human performance, and mainly for agile work. So what do? We set up micro rewards based on AI and technology, based on Trello boards, based on Jira, based on Kanban boards, and the speed you move the tasks and everything, like micro rewards. And it's not the end of the project bonus, but micro rewards just based on AI. So for example, you have this week to accomplish this and this. And then based on the way you move on Trello, on Jira, you can meet the targets or not. And then you can have benefits. And the benefits could be something like a ticket to the movie theater, a donation to the victims of the war, or whatever. So these kind of micro, and this is all AI based, because the AI takes a look on the whole stream of the sprint and create incentives to make sure that you deliver your sprint on time. This is just a real example of happening today. And this is just one. I can give you another 300 different examples of that, okay? So look, Federico from Rome, any initiative to evaluate actual or near future maturity of AI tools supporting PM?
Federico, good to see you. I'm just going through the questions, and they're amazing. This is really the source for another article or more work, because they are not just, they're not superficial questions. The questions that you are all putting here are deep questions. I think that's great. And Federico, to your question, I think I've not seen, there's maturity in IT, the CMM model that we all saw 20 years ago. So, but I've not seen it applied yet to AI, and not along for project management. So to be honest, I've not seen anything. And I think there's a sense for that. Maybe on the maturity of your data, it could be a starting point, but it's a great point to further analyze, further work on the maturity of AI and project management. Definitely an area to explore. And thank you, Federico, for the great question. I'm just impressed, Ricardo.
Yeah, it's so many. Now we have more than 100.
We
Okay,
need to do a Twitch, Ricardo.
Let's take
24 hours.
Yeah, let's take two more and then we are done, okay? Marcio, talking about AI implemented at the PMBOK guide. Look, I don't work for PMI, of course, I know the PMBOK very well, but remember, you said, Marcio, that it would be a new specific area of knowledge. And I just want to remember that PMBOK 7, there is no knowledge area anymore. And the PMBOK 7 already consider many of these aspects of technology already on it. So if you ask me, it's not AI, everything AI, but there is a lot of things on the current PMBOK that are already covering AI. And I don't believe that you need a new PMBOK just for AI, because then we need another PMBOK just for conflict management, another PMBOK. So I think AI goes on the top of that, okay? And now maybe for you here, let me, Chris, AI can only predict success if they're given the right data, but the data is all historic and does not reflect the future. And neural networks are as biased as we are. We don't yet have the right data being collected, so that is the same challenge we face without AI. How do you see the collection of clean data improving? When will this happen? Great question, Chris. Antonio, do you want to start? Okay.
Chris from Bahrain, it's always good to see you. And I know you've been working on this. I think that what you're stating there was my belief all the time about the importance of data cleansing. What I've seen, and this is confirmed by the Professor Paul from Canada, is that the new versions of AI are much smarter in terms of data. So some of the gaps that we had can be overcome with the recreation of data, and it's not the solution. It's not going to solve it. I don't see AI taking our decision, which is still very flawed anyway today. If you see the poor success rate that we have in projects, I see it as a complement. This is another opinion. So it's now never going to be perfect, but it's a voice that we need to listen, because this is data. We always talk about knowledge management. We talk about lessons learned in project management. They're not used. Today, they're not used. So I think AI can help with that and make us better decision makers. But indeed, there's still a gap. And like Ricardo said, AI is not perfect and will not be perfect in the next years, but we don't need to disregard it just for that. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me just add before we close. Look, Chris, I agree with you, but I want just to raise one point with you. Have you thought about AI trying to plan and predict projects with no historical information? Unsupervised learning? Because I saw people already trying to study this. It's trying to break everything. For example, you built, for example, a building, and you use historical information. But have you tried to use AI and say, look, AI, please try an error, interactive, to find the best way of building a building? Sometimes it comes with absolutely surprising. And this, for example, I started looking this when I saw the AI tool, AlphaGo from DeepMind, where the player of Go started, the machine started playing completely different from the way a player plays, because it was never a play before. So it didn't learn something like you learn basic moves. No, it was try and error. So these, Chris, could be an absolutely disruptive future for many, many projects, okay? And ChatGPT is one of the things using this to generate code for you. Look, we don't have much time. I just want to share our final slides. So it's one Antonio, one mine, and the other one with the QR code. So Antonio, back to you and your.
I think you know where to find us. I think the LinkedIn newsletter is something that I try to cover these new topics, the certification on project practitioner. You'll get the slides, so I don't want to bother with my stuff, but you get their summary and where to connect later on.
Perfect. And for me, I just want to tell you, I just released it yesterday, my new newsletter called Beyond Hype. And this is a very personal project for me. It's something that I share my questions, my concerns. And if you want to subscribe both on my website and also on LinkedIn. Okay. And this is the final contact information for Antonio. We are both very easy to reach. Okay, we are on LinkedIn and we are very open on the network. And on that button here, you see the QR code to download the presentation. So you can download all these slides by using this QR code, or if you want, you can use the same link that you used to register for this webinar, rvarg.as/AIPM. I just redirected directly to the slide deck, okay? So you can download and you can revisit. So Antonio, my friend, thank you very much for the partnership. You know, it's always a pleasure working with you. We will record some answers to the questions you raised, and we'll publish them. Antonio, thank you very much for your time, okay? And see you all in a future time, okay? Thank you very much. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good weekend.